Alright, so this is a video that may be a little bit hard to believe for some people, and it may actually even upset a few people depending on if you run a barrel tuner, how much you have spent on that barrel tuner, and what type of machining you had to have done to fit that barrel tuner to your precision rifle barrel. But nevertheless, this is what it is, and I have created a barrel tuner that is sub $2 that flat out works. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. Now, I can't take full credit for this, and we'll get into why that is here in just a few minutes. Also, you may be asking yourself, what is a barrel tuner and how does it work? So what is a barrel tuner? A barrel tuner is basically some sort of a weight that you are able to add to your barrel. Typically, most of the time, it's towards the end of your muzzle that allows you to move that weight in and out ever so slightly to adjust your harmonic node to allow your bullet to leave the muzzle at the exact same point in that harmonic node each time you fire. Just like when we make our hand loads, we adjust our seating depth to get the bullet to leave at the right point in the harmonic node to squeeze the most accuracy as we can out of our rifles. Just like we figure out what the right charge weight is to get the right speed going down the barrel to get that bullet to leave the barrel at the right point in our harmonic node. All these things play together to squeeze the most accuracy as you can out of a rifle, and a barrel tuner is just another tool to add to that. If say you have a hand load that you know it has good SDs, which is kind of how this thing came about for me, has really good SDs, good low extreme spreads, but you're not quite getting that final just super accurate placement out of your groups that you know a load with that type of low SDs is capable of. You can tune it the rest of the way to really fine tune that load and squeeze the most accuracy you can out of it with a barrel tuner. And so that's kind of what I did, and that's kind of how this thing came about. So that is what a barrel tuner is, and that's how it works. It's basically a weight. Every time we fire our rifles, as most of you know, there are harmonic waves that travel down the barrel, and the barrel is, even before the bullet leaves the barrel, that barrel is vibrating, and you're trying to time your bullet leaving the muzzle at the right place, at the exact same place in that node each time to put the bullet in the exact same place downrange. So that is what a barrel tuner is. That's how it works. That's a layman's explanation of a barrel tuner. And then how did I come up with this? Now, like I said, I can't take full credit for this. This actually came to be, I was at a match a couple weekends ago, and I was talking to a gentleman, very well respected long-range shooter, ELR shooter, name that most people would know if I said it, and I'm not going to say his name, so I don't know if he wants me to put it out there or anything. But me and him were having a conversation, not even about rifles or anything. Actually, it was about hunting. And I look over, and he's got his FTR rifle sitting there, and I noticed he had a very funky-looking barrel tuner on the end of it. And so I said, "So what do you got going on here?" And he said, "Well, that's my barrel tuner." I said, "Well, I assume that." I said, "What is it?" And so he explained to me that he had just rebarreled his FTR rifle, and he hadn't had it machined yet like he typically does for a barrel tuner, and he had came up with what was a bearing nut to put on the end of his barrel. He drilled and tapped it for a screw that could lock it in place, and was using it to tune his barrel, and it absolutely worked. He said, "And this thing works so good," he said, "I don't plan on changing it. I think I'm going to leave it on there, and it'll probably last throughout the life of this barrel." So that got me thinking. I was like, how could I make a barrel tuner without even having to drill and tap a bearing nut to lock it in place? And so I got to looking on Amazon, and I've come across something that I was already aware of, which is barrel collets, which is what this is. This is a 1-inch barrel collet. I run a 1-inch bull barrel here on my 6mm Creedmoor. This is something that is not necessarily going to be a perfect fit if you are not running some sort of straight taper. If you're running something that has a taper all the way down, this is probably not going to work for you. But if you're running something like a bull barrel or maybe an MTU profile, something that tapers down ever so slightly and then straightens out for the rest of the barrel, you could definitely find a barrel collet that will absolutely fit to your barrel. And then they have just a locking screw here on the bottom of the barrel collet well, I put it on the bottom of the barrel actually, that you can, once you get it tuned into the right place, you can lock it in place. Now, it took me a while to get this thing just right. I will say, figuring out exactly where to place this and then adjusting it ever so slightly to find the perfect node to get this thing to tighten up my groups. Now, a lot of you guys know about in my 6mm Creedmoor here recently, I've been shooting a lot of the 107 grain Sierra Match Kings. I plan on shooting them this coming weekend in a match, and been having really good luck out of them. But the thing that's the one issue I've had is my load has been between 3/10 of an inch and about 3/8 of an inch. So it's been consistent, but I typically try my hardest to get a load that is into the under 3/10 of an inch, most of the time under 1/4 of an inch. And I just was having trouble doing that, but I had such good extreme spreads, such low SDs that I didn't want to mess with the load, and I was just going to run with it because the thing was shooting absolutely lights out. It's the same load that we shot the golf ball, the 1,000-yard golf ball challenge with. And as you guys see, that the load is just, the bullet and the load is absolutely just shooting fantastic. Really almost no elevational changes in my shot string. So because of that, I didn't want to change anything. And that got me thinking, well, you know, he was able to tune his, without having to have any machining done or anything like that, was able to use his bearing nut to tune his barrel. I bet I can come up with something like that. So I found this on Amazon, $1.70 something on Amazon. We'll throw up what it is here, a link to it and all that. And I ordered it up, a 1-inch barrel collet, and got here, and it took me a couple of days of messing with it to find out where the right spot was going to be in the barrel, and then to figure out exactly how much to move it to adjust my node. And once I figured that out, I was off and running. So I actually did video me shooting these groups. This was the final tuning of the barrel collet here, of the barrel tuner. But sometimes I'm an idiot and I accidentally deleted the videos of me shooting these groups, so we don't have that, but you can see the groups here. You can get the idea of what was going on. So I started off when this was the final tuning, I started off at 0.0451 inches off of the muzzle. And I'll show you how I measure that and everything. It's really simple. And locked it in place there, and I shot this 3-shot group. Now it looks like a 2-shot group, it is a 3-shot group, and as you can see, it grouped 0.231 inches, so sub-quarter minute. I knew that I was definitely in there. I was going to go ahead and shoot a 5-shot to confirm that this thing was going to stay where it is. There's 1 bullet here in the top hole and then 2 in the bottom. But I figured, no, let's go ahead and adjust that and see if we can't tighten it up anymore. So I adjusted it 0.10 of an inch to 0.441 or 0.440 inches. And as you can see, the group opened up to almost 0.6 of an inch. So just adjusting this thing 0.11 of an inch really opened up my group. I only shot these 2 shots because I could see that within the 2nd shot that my group had opened up significantly. So at that point, I took it back in 0.05 to 0.445 inches, and the thing tightened straight up into a 0.281 4-shot group. I had 4 more rounds left, and what really sold me on the whole thing was noticing that this 4-shot group was in the same exact place, horizontal or vertically spread, as this 3-shot group. So basically that is a 7-round group into a sub 0.3 of an inch. So I knew I had it tuned, I knew I had it where I wanted it at that point, and I noticed also that there was 0.06 difference between this 3-shot group and as far as where my barrel tuner was sitting off of the muzzle, between this 3-shot group and this 5-shot group. So that told me that was my entire node, or that was a large piece of that node. So from 0.451 inches to 0.445 inches was a full node. So because I knew that was the node, I didn't want to be at the either end of it. So I ended up setting this at 0.448 inches to be in the very center of that node. So that is how I tuned this barrel with this. Now, like I said, it took me a little bit more than just that. I spent a couple of, probably probably spent 30 rounds figuring out where on the barrel was going to be the right spot to lock this thing down and make those fine adjustments. But once I figured that out, once I found the spot where I was getting those consistent groups around the same size as what I was already shooting, I knew that that was the spot that I wanted it, and from there on I was moving at those 5/10 or 5/1000 of an inch to adjust for that harmonic node. So that is what this is. That is the sub $2 barrel tuner that absolutely works. I plan on shooting this barrel tuner on here for this match this weekend. I have full confidence in it. It's really, once you lock it down, you can lock it down nice and tight, put some Loctite on it, and it's not going to go anywhere. So I feel really confident this thing is not going to move. It's in the middle of that node, so I have some play in either direction, so I feel really good that this thing is going to get me through this entire match with no issues. So that is how I came up with this $2 barrel tuner that absolutely works. Another place where a barrel tuner might help you is if you're not a hand loader and you shoot factory loads, and you want to tighten up those factory loads to that last nth degree and get the most accuracy you can out of your factory match loads, a barrel tuner can definitely be a big help in that. You could throw a barrel tuner on your rifle and tune it to where that match, or those match factory ammo loads, you can squeeze the absolute most accuracy out of those match loads. So a barrel tuner is a big help for things like that, and it came in very handy for this 107 Match King load that I'm shooting right now. Another thing about typical barrel tuners is you have to have your muzzle or your barrel specially cut depending on what type of barrel tuner you want to run. That was one of the big things that I've made me never want to mess with a barrel tuner. But then seeing my friend who had tuned his barrel in a similar way made me realize that something like this was going to be possible. And there's no machining, no anything, that's no having to send your barrel off to a gunsmith to have it specially cut for a certain barrel tuner. It's a $2 barrel collet from Amazon. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. This is the $2 barrel tuner. I hope you guys are looking to really tune in those hand loads or tune in those factory loads. This is something you might find helpful. See you guys next time. I'm out.